respected elder brothers, elder sisters, and rest of the brothers, sisters. I always used to start my talk, use the word brothers, brothers, sisters. I think two reasons. It's difficult to mention each individual's names and ranks like that, quite long. So sometimes you see, they cannot remember, and the reading, also I don't like. Then, secondly, I really believe now we must sort of promote sense of oneness of humanity. So with that sort of point, entire 7 billion human beings are actually our brothers, sisters. If you accept Creator, then particularly Creator, generally speaking, like God, is our Father. All 7 billion human beings created by one God. Then, from the non-theistic religious tradition, not only all human beings, but also entire sentient being, each have the feeling of self. And mind or consciousness, with that feeling of pains and pleasure, neutral, always there. So the feeling of self and the feeling of pains and pleasure, by nature, desire, want more pleasure, happiness, joyfulness. And any sentient being who wants happiness, joyfulness, logically, no one wants problem, suffering. So, entire sentient being, and particularly 7 billion human beings on this planet, physically, mentally, emotionally, same. And all have this desire, and because of that, we all have a right to achieve happy life, joyful life. However, many problems which we are humanity facing is essentially our own creation. Nobody wants a problem, but a lot of problem, our own creation. Why? Now in the level of emotion. Emotion, there are different sort of nature of emotion. Some emotion, tremendous love, tremendous affection. That kind of strong feeling, a kind of emotion. But such things are positive. Then anger, hatred. These also, these emotions, you see, once that emotion develops, I think even animal, we can see their attitude become different. Then particularly we human being, when we talk with another human being, and then some subject, you see, the other person, you see, feel a little uncomfortable. When that sort of topic comes, immediately their face change. So these sort of emotion, which essentially very much, firstly, I think self-centered attitude with combination of compassion, all right, good. Compassion there, self-confidence there. Self-confidence automatically reduces fear. When fear reduces, we can develop trust. Other hand, the self-centered attitude combined with some kind of negative emotion. Then distrust, suspicion. And actually, the anger brings some kind of extra energy, but that energy is blind energy. So sometimes you see people who dare to use certain word, but when that person becomes angry, then no hesitate to use because of the negative word. So seems to see anger brings some kind of because of the energy, extra energy or boldness, but that actually blind energy, because all destructive emotion, no proper logical background. The positive emotion, there is sufficient logic. So these emotions, I think mostly the spontaneous way, spontaneous sort of developing emotion. Most cases, no proper reason. So therefore, if you investigate why I feel angry, why that person or that thing is bad, further investigate, not much solid reason. So most of destructive emotion is spontaneous. On the other hand, positive emotion, constructive emotion, there is a solid basis because of the reasons. So, through meditation, through analytical meditation, we can increase these positive emotion. The negative emotion spontaneously come, but since you see no proper reason, so no solid basis. So these, you see, I feel nothing to do with religion. But you see, if we properly use our intelligence, then you can develop conviction or loving kindness or karuna. These are very, very helpful, useful. And anger, hatred, these are very bad, harmful. Even physical level, physical health, constant anger, hatred, actually eating our immune system. That's now according to the scientific finding. Other hand, compassion brings inner strength. Inner strength reduces anxiety or stress. So therefore, the practice of more experience of compassion is very good for our health. And then another thing, when spontaneous certain emotion comes, at that moment, our human intelligence cannot function properly. Therefore, when destructive emotion develop, it immediately develop short-sighted, narrow-minded. When anger develops, you need some kind of independent target. Then you feel angry. Oh, this. Then try to analyze, try to think more deeper way. Why I feel angry with that person or that thing? Not sort of a sufficient reason. It appears to me very bad, and he or she criticized me and a negative attitude. Then if further ask, oh, since childhood that person is really negative towards you or not? No. Or this negative attitude remain forever? No. Due to certain circumstances, there are different attitudes come. But that attitude, not from birth, but because of certain factor. So once you see, you understand many elements which creates anger in that person, including your own attitude. So then anger no longer find independent, absolute target. One of my friend, an American scientist, when I met him, his age, 84-year-old, not religious-minded person. I think they call it psychiatrist. No, I think a few decades he deal or helping people who have a lot of disturbances due to anger. Thank you. He told me, when person develop anger, the person or the thing which you feel angry, that appears very negative. But actually, 90% of that negativeness is the angry person's own mental projection. This is exactly one of Buddhist psychologists, ancient Buddhist psychologist, Buddhist philosophy and psychologist, like Nagarjuna. He clearly mentioned that. So when I heard that old scientist's sort of explanation on the basis of his own sort of investigation or experience, I found, the Nagarjuna sort of view about anger is very similar, like that. So therefore, on the other hand, more compassionate mind. You see, there's sufficient reasons. Particularly we human beings, we are social animal. Each individual's sort of survival or happy life depend on other. You remain like Kasadi, Sirusa Kasa. Rhinoceros. Oh, we are not like that. Rhinoceros, of course, firstly, very strong body. So, many cases, except you, I think, mate and mother and the child, otherwise, you see, remain so lonely.
So, in our classical text,
Now
there's mention of
main speaker now.
There's a mention of the rhinoceros living by itself, by themselves, alone.
That's, I think, exception. But we are not like that. Social animal. Even animal, those social animals, they have certain limited altruism, each other, taking care. That's very important. Affection, love. One is some scientist carried experiment. 2 mice, both some injuries or injured, 2 mice. One mice with injury with another mice. One remained lonely, alone. Then the mice with injury, but with another mice, is constantly receiving licking from other mice. So they recover of the injury. That mice who receiving constant affection from another mice is much quicker recover. So therefore, the affection, karuna, is very, very important for health viewpoint. And we are social animal. Our life depends firstly your own family, and then your own community. Then finally, now today, we have to think humanity, because East depends West, West depends East, North depends South, South depends North. That's today's reality. And global economy. So that's today's reality. Not like ancient time. Ancient time, okay. Even a small village, more or less self-sufficient. No need to bother about next village. Now today, heavily interdependent. And then global warming. Then also human population. When I first came to India, then we used to say 6 billion human beings. Now 7 billion human beings. Now, end of this century, human population may reach 10 billions. And also, you see now, even today, 7 billion, there are huge gap, rich and poor. So millions of people remain because under poverty. Even within one country like India, huge gap, rich and poor. I think how is the situation in Assam? I don't know. I think the rich and poor gap. You see, this not only morally wrong, but practically source of problem. So we have to uplift the poorer section of the people. And in this country, unfortunately, in spite of highly sort of remarkable things there, but caste system. And low caste, people come from low caste. They always say less privileged and bully. And they are emotionally the inferior feeling. This is very bad. We have to change that. Even maybe part of Indian tradition must change. Outdated sort of certain tradition, we have to change. I think the caste system, mainly, I think, created by landlord. And that feudal system, I think, maybe influence some of these religious sort of because of the tradition. So the landlord, upper class, so they have a certain right, and also due to karma, they have the position to explore poor people. Poor people, due to their karma, or Creator, they remain like that. So that psychological sort of thinking is very harmful to become equal. So in any way, the altruism is the key factor. Our happiness, our healthy life, happy life, healthy body, healthy family, healthy society, and finally, healthy humanity. So I always consider myself one of the 7 billion human beings. I never consider I'm Dalai Lama. If I stress I'm His Holiness 14th Dalai Lama, then that mental thinking, I actually isolated from the rest of the community. Among 7 billion human beings, only one Dalai Lama. If I emphasize on that, then mentally, emotionally, I feel lonely person. When I think I'm human being, rest of 7 billion human beings, my brothers, sisters, then I feel, you see, I have plenty of brothers, sisters. When I visit this place, I feel another human, brothers, sisters. Go this, here brothers, sisters. And then more important, many problems which we created, these problem, we emphasize on secondary level of differences, including religion and race and family background, rich and poor, these things. So therefore, lot of man-made problem. The only way to reduce that, we should emphasize we are same human being. They want happy life, I want happy life. My happy life depends on their happiness. If surrounding your family or yourself, angry family, no happiness. You surrounded by friendly, compassionate neighbors and members of your own family, you feel much happier. Even dogs, cats, this is who really showing you love. They have no sort of language, but they dog, they do, they have their tail. And sometimes you see licking. You feel happy. Dog showing you, you don't like. Isn't it? Even animal, which showing you love, you feel happy. Showing you anger, you feel more anxiety. That's nature. Whether true or not, once I heard one Russian scientist, see, 2 plots of flower. One flower, each day, that person, the scientist, praising something nice word. Another flower, scold. Then the growth of the flower which receives nice word grow better. I don't know. That's I really don't know, but I heard that. So in any way, in a human being or sentient being who have the feeling of experiences, then certainly the loving kindness, immense help. Or negative emotion, very harmful. So we are not talking about next life. We are not talking heaven. I am Buddhist. Buddha himself, told us, you are your own master. everything, your future, it depends on yourself. So nowadays, they are thinking, come from India. These are part of ancient Indian wisdom, Indian experience. 8th century Tibetan Emperor Trisong Detsen, he invited one great master of Nalanda, Shantarakshita. He also Bangladesh, I think from Bengali. The same sort of family lineage, that of Atishan Divankara. So 8th century, Shantarakshita invited to Tibet. Then his age already over 70-year-old, but he accepted. And he introduced Buddha Dharma in Tibet according to Nalanda tradition. So our great teacher, Shantarakshita, wonderful. Then also I may say, student, a Tibetan student of Shantarakshita, also I think great. I usually describe you Indian, historically our guru. So we are chela. But at the same time, we not only just a chela, but quite reliable chela. So we kept over 1,000 years all this knowledge intact. The Guru's own land, you neglected this knowledge. So now, today, as far as the knowledge is concerned, Chela knowledge is better than Guru. So now, I really very, very happy, encouraged, more and more Indian now showing interest about your ancient knowledge. This knowledge, not only ancient one, but also very relevant to today's world. Today, I think there is a lot of crisis. I think those crises, including violence, ultimately started from here. Lack of fuller knowledge about the system of our emotion. So Western, last 30 years, I have a series of discussions with scientists. So then I noticed, as far as knowledge about emotion, about mind is concerned, Western psychology looks like a kindergarten level. India's ancient knowledge about these things are highly developed. So now these things, when the world facing some kind of moral crisis or violence, I think ancient Indian knowledge is very useful, very relevant. So you have to pay more attention, not only talking about material development and money, like that. I think we need material development, very important. Millions of Indians still remain poor. So India's economic development is very essential. And also India, I think now, one of the important sort of country, economically also. So we further develop, need further development. At the same time, the ancient Indian knowledge that provide us inner peace, not through prayer, but through understanding about emotional system, which emotion is bring healthy body, happy family, happy individual, which emotion is destructive. Once we realize these things, and then also you see the method tackle this emotion. That's part of ancient Indian sort of kasoda, knowledge. So wherever I go, I always describe myself as a messenger of ancient Indian thought, Indian knowledge. Then firstly, I always talking secular ethics. That also ancient Indian sort of, even today, secular. Your constitution itself based on secular. So whenever I talk about a secular value, secular ethics, that's India's sort of message. Then ahimsa. Ahimsa, not due to cause of the fear and not harming other. That's not ahimsa. Ahimsa is you have the ability to harm other, yet restrain harming other. That's violence. No, that's because of the ahimsa. So ahimsa very much related with karuna. Karuna there, ahimsa come. So wherever I go, I always talking about ahimsa and karuna. That also India's, because of the India's tradition. Then also you say, I fully committed about the promotion of religious harmony. That also India's tradition. This country, besides the homegrown religion, all major world religions eventually is settled in this country very harmoniously. Occasionally a few problems here and there. That is understandable. Around a billion human beings, there must be some mischievous human being. So some problem. That's understandable. Overall picture, I think this country, I think only India can be example where all major world religious traditions live together. Wonderful. So all this ancient Indian sort of a tradition. So I consider I'm messenger of ancient Indian thought or Indian knowledge. So therefore, now over 58 years, I remain guest of Indian government, so longest guest of Indian government. So I'm paying back, you see, carrying ancient Indian sort of thought wherever I go. Okay. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you welcome me or invite me and give a talk. So these things, is it not prepared? Always here. Part of my own practice. So I extremely happy to share some of these sort of my experience to you. Originally come from India, like that. So thank you very much, all the concerned, or say the people, or the organization. I really appreciate, and also the translation, mine and my people, in local language. Yes. I really appreciate. Thank you very much. Then I want to ask the media to say how much differences my face. Thank you very much. Thank you. Excuse me.
Your Holiness, I am Julie Goswami from National Law University and Judicial Academy, Assam. Your Holiness, since your arrival, India is experiencing the greatness of another propagator of peace, truth and non-violence after Mahatma Gandhi. Your Holiness, are you optimistic towards the achievement of a non-violent and peaceful world?
Basically, I'm optimistic. Judging events in 20th century, I think humanity is thinking in early part of 20th century and later part of 20th century, big differences, particularly in Europe. And then, I think now, peace movement, I think everywhere. For example, the Iraq crisis about to happen. From Australia up to university, up to United States, there's millions of people come up against violence. And then, then the basic human nature, now some scientists say, basic human nature is more compassionate. That's a really hopeful sign. Through education, through awareness. And then I think present generation, everywhere, come through education as such, not much talking about inner value, about mind. When this point comes about peace or non-violence and compassion, we often rely on religion. Of course, I'm a religious person. I'm a Buddhist monk. But religiously speaking, I think over almost now this country, 3,000 years, different religions come. But I think pray to be happy. That's right. That's reality. So I often used to say, if Buddha, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, and some other religious leaders come, if we have the opportunity to see them, if we appeal them, please bring peace, then most probably they say, who creates violence? Not God, not Jesus Christ, not Buddha, or Mahavira. But inside their teaching, we human beings create this violence. So you have to solve. You have the responsibility to solve this problem. I think most of the Buddha come with the name which they get. So therefore, now just praying to God or Buddha, we must work hard. That also through education, through awareness, in order to develop enthusiasm, determination, work for peace, through awareness, through conviction. That is through education, through awareness, self-centered attitude there. So best way to fulfill your own interests is peace, non-violence. So therefore, I'm optimistic. However, I think within my lifetime, I don't know whether you see some big change on this planet. But if we start work now through education, then I think next generation who come to that kind of education, then there is a great possibility to create better world, peaceful world, compassionate world. Okay, that's my point. Next question.
His Holiness, I am Gunjan Sharma. It's like a dream for me and for all of us out here, I guess, to finally see you and listen to your enlightened words. His Holiness, do you think that spirituality would lead towards peace and happiness, both in terms of moral and material well-being of the people?
Yes, if you firstly, I think as I said earlier, secular ethics. One of my books, Beyond Religion, that's maybe, you see, ethics, not based on religion, but based on awareness for your own interests, interest for humanity, interest for family. Deeper awareness about that, then you see, try to reduce anger and develop strength of good. That's secular. Then, on the basis of that, actually, all the religion of human being, not other than of God or goddess, that mysterious thing. So therefore, all religions, you see, their aim is try to promote human value, that's human compassion, and use different concepts, different philosophies. Like some theories which say God. When they just have God, infinite love. Nobody says God full of anger. No. God, according to theories which is of God, Father, infinite love. Then non-theories which is essence of their teaching is good. Jainism, Buddhism, these two are measures of tradition which no concept of creator, self-creation. So all the traditions have the same message of love, forgiveness, tolerance, contentment, selflessness. So anyone once accepts a religion should be sincere, should be serious. Then all the religions have same potential to produce compassion process. And philosophy will be basic differences. But then you must look what's the purpose of this philosophy. The same purpose, to strengthen human value, that's compassion. Like that. If you look only at the differences, then within Buddhism, philosophy will be these differences, many of the different schools of thought. Vivacious school of thought, Socratic school of thought, Chittamantra school of thought, Madhyamaka school of thought. There are differences. So when we study Baba Veda's book, when we study that, then we can see the different school of thought, which is one sort of view of conception of this particular school of thought. Another school of thought, sort of argue. Yours was a concept, this contradiction. So therefore, Buddha himself, this is your enemy, his follower, all my follower, bhikshus, bhikshunis, scholars, should not access my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather further investigation and experiment. This is very scientific. No? And also, you see, in a way, this is in Buddha's teaching. So, this is different audiences who have different religious positions. So, Buddha compassion, Buddha So he taught according to their disposition. So Buddha indirectly accepted his teaching, there are some contradictions. So therefore, we must investigate. Not just faith. So that's the reason. Otherwise, sometimes I think the Buddha is one place taught some different philosophy. Another occasion, different philosophy. This does not mean Buddha's own mind not very clear. Buddha himself was confused. No, not that. Buddha enlightened. No, Buddha deliberately tried to create more confusion among his followers. No, Buddha is compassion. Therefore, Buddha taught different philosophy according to different mental dispositions. So this we learn all. Now, word means different dispositions. So, like that. Next question?
I'm Malika Goswami. Do you think that spirituality resembles religious perceptions?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, all different spiritual traditions, religious traditions, it's the same potential to bring inner peace. Different method. Most of the different religions use faith in order to bring inner peace. Non-religious religion use investigation and experiment. All theistic religion, non-theistic religion, all aim how to strengthen, how to promote deeper community and best in compassion.
Your Holiness, I have just one simple question. Like, if one has to choose between his religion and country, who do you think one has to choose?
I think different level. I think basic level. Your country is also part of the humanity. We have to think about humanity. Within that, your own country, emotionally, you have some special responsibility. Each individual country's future depends on world. India's future depends on world, depends on Asia, depends on world. So, there's no contradiction. If India is completely isolated from the rest of the world, then you can talk only India. That's not the case. India is part of the world, part of Asia, and part of the world. So, in future of India, future of China, future of Russia, future of America, and all these big nations, their future very much depends on humanity. Humanity is happy, more compassionate humanity. And all these nations also should have a maximum happiness. That's my problem.
My Lord, my name is Ravi Ajit. As you have said it yesterday, I have said it, prayer, not religion, but education. Now I repeat my question. Prayer, not religion, but only education. What do you mean by that?
I think I already mentioned. I think, look, do you set a law, first of all? Each nation, mostly Christians, you pray to God. And now today, among the Muslims, or among Christians and Muslims, some within in Northern Ireland, Protestant and Catholic some sort of I think both pray in Jesus Christ, Trinity, God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It's a both pray. Nothing happened. I think then, see now, Muslim, Shia, Sunni, both pray to Allah. I think sometimes it seems to God himself is confused. Crystal blessings should go this side or that side. Both pray to God. But then we Tibetans, when we're facing some problems, it is, I think, a lot of puja is done. Nothing. So therefore, realistically speaking, friendly speaking, you see, future of humanity depends on humanity themselves, not on God. Of course, in my daily practice, I pray to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. My own individual problem, such as upliftment, about inner guidance, prayer, religion. But pray to humanity, I don't. Next question.
Your Holiness, we would like to know your view on Vipassana as a tool for world peace.
Vipassana, there are two kinds of meditation. One meditation is we call shamatha, single point of meditation. That actually channelize the mental force, mental power, mental energy. Then Vipassana, analytical meditation. Both important, but Vipassana is more important because basically reason, analytical meditation. Analytical meditation, according to my own experience, analytical meditation really affects your emotions. As I mentioned earlier, awareness. Analytical meditation really helps to deeper awareness, deeper reality. And then, I think over 3,000 years, this country, true truth, concept of true truth, Sanskrit.
जो धर्म के अनुसार या परंपरा के अनुसार दो सत्य माने जाते हैं, समृद्ध सत्य और परमार्थ सत्य.
So, concept of true truth. So this one, the ultimate truth, roughly sort of translation, ultimate truth and conventional level truth. Why sort of develop true truth is things, the reality of things, not as appears. The deeper level, the reality is something different. So there is always a gap, appearances and reality. So most of the destructive emotion based on appearances. So in order to, in order to tackle this problem, we have to go deeper level of reality. So this, the Buddhists, are the concept of anatma and atma, and within anatma, shunyata. Shunyata means patita samupanda. So things, shunyata does not mean nothingness. But things there, but the way it exists is due to other factor, not by itself. So no independent self-existence. Right? like that. So this concept really sort of affect, as I mentioned earlier, the negative emotions such as anger. When anger comes, this is something independent, absolute target. The understanding, nothing exists by itself. Now quantum physicists also, they say, nothing exists by objectively. Much depends on observer. Now, up to now, quantum physicists, they already know nothing exists objectively. Then observer become important. What is the observer? Then difficult. The modern scientist not yet sort of has the answer, not very clear idea. In India, over 3,000 years, the concept of Atma come. Then also later, Buddha developed anathema theory. So we need more study. And anathema theory, not completely because of no self. No, self is there. Nobody can deny that. But anathema theory, selflessness, is self there, not as appears. So the Buddhists, particularly Madhyamika philosophy, Nagarjuna's philosophy, wonderful. Now many scientists, they really admire the ancient Indian, these great thinkers sort of view. Really. One time, the Raja Ramana, the India's nuclear physicist, he once told me, quantum physics in the West, something new. But in this country, over 2,000 years, that concept already developed. So like that, these are, you see, as a student, study these, remain there on book, just intellectual level, then not much useful. Firstly, awareness or understanding from hearing, that's not much effective. You simply say, this sort of professor, this scholar said that, this said that, and this book mentioned that. Just copy from these different sources. Then on that basis, on that knowledge, further investigate by yourself. Use different source, or this said that, this said not like that. So then make a comparison and investigate reasons. That is the truly analytical meditation. You see, the second level of awareness through analytical meditation, that brings conviction. Now, the certain thing which you fully convinced, now that constantly, they meditate or familiarize, then eventually affect our wrong view. All negative emotion based on wrong view, ultimately related with ignorance. Ignorance, there are different levels, but the final, deepest ignorance is ignorance which grasping things as appears. That's the basis of all destructive emotion. The constructive emotion not based on that. So that makes differences. So therefore, destructive emotion can eliminate through constructive emotion increase. Correct. So therefore, analytical meditation, vipassana, is very, very important. Just a meditation. Close your eye remain like that. It's something like tranquilizer. For a short moment, you feel peace. Then open your mind, open your eye, and then look problems. Or then still problem there. So the just mere meditation is something like take holiday, went some picnic. At that moment, no longer problem. But when you return your home, problem still there. So more effective is analyze the problem itself, not avoid, but thinking deeper way. Then the problem will not disturb your mind because realize or understand the very nature of the problem. Okay. Next question. Yes, now here.
Koti Koti Pranam, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I am Girish Sharma, retired professor of this Guwahati University in philosophy. I have a very simple question. Today you have said that you are the messenger of ancient Indian knowledge. Also you say that I am the longest guest of the government of India. Also you said you are a Buddhist monk. My simple question is, would that day will come very soon when you will declare that you are a good Indian and India is my country? Thank you.
Yes. Now since last few years, I also, you see, describe myself as a son of India. Because a few years ago, some Chinese, including overseas Chinese, some sort of media come to see me. And then one Chinese reporter or media asked me, why you are saying you are son of India? Then I just explained. My mind, my brain, each part of my brain, each cells of my brain filled by Nalanda thought. Nalanda thought come from India. And then this physical survived over 50 years. This body survived by Indian dal, Indian chapati, Indian rice. Therefore, physically, mentally, I am son of India. I explained. It's true. I explained. Then, you see, those as a media people seems to see, understand. That's true. That's reality. So then, I think the relation between Tibetan and Indian is relation between Guru and Chela. So very, very emotionally, very deep, our relation, not just economic reasons or political reasons, mainly spiritual reasons. One Tibetan great, also the spiritual leader, scholar, I think 14th or 15th century. Now, you see, he expressed, till light of India reached Tibet. Tibet, in spite land of snow, bright and white, but still dark. When light from India or light of India reached Tibet, then Tibet become bright. It is true. As I mentioned earlier, as far as this sophisticated Nalanda tradition is concerned, I think the Chela's land more brighter than Guru's land.
Your Holiness, with a kind heart and a peaceful life, we would like to know the life of respect and happiness.
I think, dear my young sister, now this age, you see, I think basic human nature more alive. Through materialistic oriented education, eventually that value, that feeling becoming more dormant. Right? Dormant. Oh. So now please, you eventually, you see, you carry your education and join some modern school. Then please pay more attention about basic human value, which you, till now, I think very fresh there. Actually, now last, I think almost 2 decades, we already sort of committed for promotion of human value. In that respect, with that, we have some Buddhist teaching about 300 volumes, except I think 10, 15 volume. That's translated from Chinese. Otherwise, all 300 volumes translated from India. Now, content of these 300 volumes, we can divide 3 parts. Number 1, science, mainly science of mind. And science of physical also there, but some are rubbish. For example, the cosmology, some of Buddhist sort of texts like Abhidhamma Shakarika, and also some Kala Chakra sort of tantra mentioned about world flat, in the center, Mount Meru, and then the sun and the moon more or less same size and the same level, go like that. So these are nonsense. I publicly reject it now. No longer believe these things. However, the science of mind is concerned, I think wonderful. So that considered as a part of science. Then another sort of subject, philosophy, as I mentioned earlier, truth. So that, the Four Noble Truth is directly linked with Buddhism. But true truth is simply, trying to explain the reality. So these are something useful. So, second part is philosophy. The third part is a religion. That is Buddhism. And then, now last few years, like Emory University in America, and also some, Stanford, and also, Bombay, Tata Institution. They also now fully committed researching how to put in secular education about these secular ethics. So actually, I think, as a matter of fact, end of this month, April, we are going to take one meeting to discuss how to, drafting the secular ethics which can fit in the secular education field. So I think within, I think this year, some rough drafting about secular education, secular ethics, I think may be ready. So then eventually you can enjoy these things. So I think only India have the ability or opportunity to combine modern education, modern technology, all these modern facility or modernity actually provide physical comfort, not mental comfort. So mental comfort, ancient Indian knowledge, how to tackle our emotion. This brings inner peace, the mental comfort. So only this country have the ability to combine modern Sarvaswati value and the ancient yoga value so that they're physically comfortable, mentally peaceful. Some of my friends, some American, billionaire, very rich, and some chancellor, very well-known, famous, and educated, but as a person, unhappy. So, material value fail to bring inner peace, inner happiness. So therefore, I think you young Indian, my sister, now you will have more because of the bright future. So think like that. That's my view.
Your Holiness, first of all, I pay my reverence to you for your wise talk today. At the end of the First World War, from 1914 to 1918, a great American poet who became an Englishman wrote a poem, The Wasteland. He called the world a wasteland, and in order to make it a fertile and habitable land, he prescribed the Indian philosophical words, Datta Dayadham Daimyatam. Datta, charity, Dayadham, karuna, as you have said, or compassion, and self-control. He said that the world can be saved.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. Can you be brief about your question?
Yes, yes. So, do you still believe that the land of the Ganges can still save the world from the havoc of war by the three things? Datta, Dayadham, Daimata. Thank you.
And the Tijibanda, Sadu de Karsa, Jagaran de Chigibanda, World Parliament of Religion, Zungi de Karsa, Vivekananda, Swamiji. You see, there's one opportunity to visit the Karsa, Kanyakumari, and trip of South India, from where the Swamiji went to America. And I think most probably in Chicago, his setup, eventually I think due to his sort of idea and his sort of effort, World Parliament of Religion set up. So I think such movement, I think really very wise and because of far-sighted. But unfortunately, I said that the organization not much active. So I participated few occasions as a World Parliament of Religion. Then the last meeting, I think in America, they said they come to see me and invite me. Then they told me, since the previous sort of meeting in Australia, I think in Melbourne, the World Parliament of Religion, I expressed that, this body is very important, but seems sleepy, nothing active. So then then you see that delegation came to see me because you see, you mentioned like that. So now we are really making effort to become more active. So then I sort of accepted. But unfortunately then, around that time, I got sick, so some medication. So like that, I think Indians, one Swami, thinking long term, and he felt America is actually leading nation of free world. So he set up that. So such things. I think traditionally, I think some great thinkers really from this country, I think really makes effort. I feel that.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's all the time we have for this interaction. For this, I'm sure we would have wanted it to be longer, but as I said, constraints of time. But His Holiness, with due respect, and I, at the risk of being killed by my VC, but I hope to be under your protection, on behalf of all the women present here in the audience, I would like to ask you one question. How do you have such beautiful skin at this age?
I think you know better how to keep beautiful sort of skin survey.
But what is your secret?
Some occasion when I give talk, some people ask me, in spite old age, you see, you looks, or me, I mean, they ask me, you looks like, in spite now over 80 years old, but physical face, particularly face, appears like 70, like that. So they ask me, what is secret? Then I usually respond, oh, that's my secret. I don't want to share.
Oh.
Then more seriously, I sort of telling them, there's nothing. Most important, peace of mind.
Exactly.
So ladies also, I think I usually say half teasing, beauty, internal beauty is more important than external beauty. So many years ago, I think now 50 years ago, one Tibetan official, monk official, really trusted one. So he eventually disrobed. So then I teased him, oh, your wife, not that much attractive. I tease him. Then his answer is, yes, physically not much, but very nice. Internal beauty is immense. So then I have nothing to say. So, and then furthermore, in ancient time, when human being, very small kasota number, population, then almost no concept of family, but remain group like that, like a chimpanzee or some other animal. Then gradually, population increased. Also, farming system started. So then the concept of my land, my possession come. So then some, thief or these things now happen. So concept of leadership developed. At that time, no education. So in order to become leadership, physical strength. So male dominance then come. Even you see religious tradition, also you see some sort of impact on the society, male dominance, you see, come. Then eventually education develop. Education brings more equal. In modern time, including this country, like Indira Gandhi ji or Gold Mayer in Israel, and then Mrs. Thatcher in England, and now today, German Chancellor. Wonderful. So, now modern time, now education brings more equal. Now, as I mentioned earlier, education, existing education, not adequate. So we must make every effort to promote human deeper value, that's human compassion. In that respect, female, biologically, more sensitivity about others' suffering, others' pain. So now time comes, female should take more active role for promotion of human compassion on humanity level. I really feel that. My own case, my first teacher of love or compassion is my mother, not my other teacher. Like that. So therefore, I feel the female biologically more stronger feeling about compassion. Therefore, a female should take more active role regarding promotion of compassionate century, compassionate humanity.
Thank you, Your Holiness.
Whenever I met, you see, the media people, in modern time, media people, very important, and particularly democratic country. So you also should take some interest or some responsibility to educate people. One way, sort of inform all these negative things. But at the same time, there are also sort of also the positive things. World facing a lot of problems. Within this country also, you see, there are a lot of corruptions, a lot of negative things there. But always saying that, and then sometimes viewer, you see, get some kind of negative feeling, humanity. Often you see people ask me, future of humanity, because of basic nature of humanity is more negative. Therefore, future of humanity seems to be doomed. So this is not the case. So the media people, they sort of say the presentation of the reality more balanced way and give people hope, confidence. Okay. That's how I feel. Thank you. Thank you.